James is having a Waldorf salad, and so am I. How am I having Waldorf salad? Well, pecan pieces. I could have had walnuts instead, but I had pecans, so why not? And the net carbs on a 1/4 cup, you can see, is very low. It's just a gram net carbs for a 1/4 cup. And I couldn't use apple, but I used this to flavor, to give me the apple flavor. So we're going to talk about this, and it got top of the stack against that. And James has a whole bunch of books he wants to review here, so we'll see if he gets through them. I think he will. Maybe not all of them, but probably a bunch of them. There we go. And I'll put my little hat on the camera. And this is my outfit for today. I guess I could do the spin, but it's just as one would expect it would look in the back, I suppose. So yeah, how I made this salad. I'm gonna have a lot of net carbs from the grapes, but doable, because I have basically nothing in this drink. So, because I made it out of hemp protein powder and cacao, psyllium, ground flax, and water. That's it. If I'd wanted some sweet, I could have put stevia in there, but I don't find I need it. So, anyway, I'm going to get plenty of sweet in this. So, I'll have a bite and I'll let you know how it goes. What I did is I blended up a dose of that,
this here?
Yeah, the Greens Daily Detox, because it's apple flavor. And I don't know why they made it apple flavor. When I got it on clearance for really cheap, because no one else wanted it, I suppose. Probably, I was thinking, well, probably because it's apple flavor. Apple's pretty ordinary or whatever, right? But if the green stuff, it's keto friendly. That's very little. I can't remember what it is. Something like I think it's 2.8 grams net carbs per serving for that. So it's very little. And apples, well, surprisingly, not keto friendly. So, what I did is I put a serving of that, and I mixed it up with a little bit of tahini, juice from half a lemon, and water to thin it out, and that made my dressing. And then I just put, for my salad, it's the celery, grapes, and pecans with some avocado. That's my salad. James has apples in his, and a little bit of the detox dressing, just because, why not? So good.
Healthy, yeah. Tasty, healthy. They'll get much better.
So, all in all, this will be quite a few great net carbs because of the grapes. But I don't necessarily have to eat all of the grapes if I don't want to. But I think I will. And James is going to enjoy this little chocolate. And I was going to show this tiny little chocolate here. It's dark chocolate, so yay. But I saw on the package, it said for 3 of the chocolates, they had net carbs of 15 grams. They're not very big chocolates. And honestly, my whole salad would be less than 15 grams for the whole salad, right? For net carbs. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that out to compare it. Show you what I was talking about. Now, James is going to get talking about whichever he wants. If you want to talk about the thin blue line, or if you want to talk about your books, you go right ahead. I'm going to bring this back in and stick it in the fridge, and you can go ahead and talk.
Thin blue line.
Well, I need to watch way more of this. First time I've seen it. Rowan Atkinson. I didn't even know what his name was. That's Mr. Bean and the Blackadder. Good comedic chops, stuff like that. The humor's a little bit obvious, but it actually is funny. I suppose this guy's probably very politically incorrect now. Playing very gay guy. But who knows? Like that. But hopefully he hasn't been killed by activists or whatever.
I don't think James watched the Ballad of Wallis Island.
No, it looks very
I think
strange
I watched
to me.
that
I
one
can
while I was
review it, I
working out.
guess, but
Nope. So this one is about a guy who struck it wealthy, and he decided to host his own private concert, bring in his favorite musicians. Yeah.
Need a lot of money.
And and it's the story's better than I thought it was going to be. Well, when it started, and then while it went along. There's some beautiful scenery of this island.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're both sort of comedies, the Thin Blue Line and this, but this is a little more drama, and not nearly that. Like, that's like slapstick sort of stuff, right? It's very
Well, I said it was
visual,
somewhat
kind of.
obvious.
Yeah.
And that's a verbal humor. The slapstick stuff, it takes a particular talent to do it, and it's,
It does.
I don't
And
know if there's that much of it anymore. You know, like
no,
Charlie
but
Chaplin.
this young man here,
I know.
he's perfect. Gosh, he's awesome.
I know, but
So funny. You don't think so then?
well, I think he's hilarious. But I'm afraid his shtick is probably very politically incorrect. Although for him, those kind of moves. Wonder what people think of Scott Thompson or whatever.
I don't know.
But Scott Thompson's more sophisticated. It's very verbal and stuff like that, by comparison. The one guy who doesn't do that very well is Eugene Levy's. For some reason or another.
No, he's not good.
I'm not sure what it is.
It's sad.
I guess. He's trying. And I'm not sure I can say he's trying too hard, but
No.
it doesn't quite work. But you know, maybe one of the troubles is Scott Thompson did it. I mean, how can you compare it? I mean, he's the best ever doing that kind of shtick. Anyway, for a particular type of humor, if you can put up with stuff that's nowadays politically incorrect, it maybe becomes recommended.
So.
The other one you're finished with it.
No, I was.
Oh,
I
you
didn't have much to
up
say
there.
about it. It was kind of breezy,
Get
so
the
I
hat
got
on.
my camera needed another hat.
Yeah, okay, preview. It's a review preview. I've finished all but 30 pages of this. I know that I've actually finished it before a long time ago. So it is really a review. Tractatus Logico Philosophicus, or if you're going to mispronounce the Latin, Logico Philosophicus. I'm hoping I'm getting the accents on the right place. Ludwig Wittgenstein. It's supposed to be the most famous piece. I think he ultimately, and that wasn't too long after kind of renounced the philosophies, laying out and this sort of stuff. So here they keep on talking about Wittgenstein, regarded as many as the most outstanding philosopher of the 20th century. He died in 1951, so he's only there for about just a little over half of the 20th century. Like 52 years of it or something like that. Yeah. So, I don't know. Anyway, when was this book put out? It might have been put out this century. Or like re-released or whatever. Ultimately, this thing was put out at the most recently in '74. But yeah, it was put out in 2001. This printing of it. But it's supposed to. They enthuse about how mathematized it is or something like that. You notice how he does this one, like numbers, there's little entries and stuff like that. I suspect, like many entries here, it's a short work. I mean, it's a lot smaller than you'd even think from looking at it here, because there's an index there which is basically has, some of it is like giving the German, not equivalent to the German original stuff, because this is translated from the German. And yeah, I think it's, yeah. So first published 21. The first English edition was 22. And this translation was first published in 1961, 40 years after it was put out in German. So, it has, for example, tableau vivant, French term, lebendes Bild. Lebendes Bild. So it gives the original German. Stipulate. Festsetzen. Set fast. Kind of like a bad translation of it. But it gives you a sense of... German is generally, like English, only maybe better, at putting two things together that kind of mean things. Nachfolger. Nach means after. Folger means follower. So that's a successor. Well, that's better than successor, which we get from Latin, which would be subsessor. So cessor, I think, is kind of like going, someone that goes, or thing that goes, and sub. The SUC comes from SUB, and that means under. That, when you got prepositions that are part of a compound kind of word, although it wouldn't be considered a compound word, it's not, like there's so many things, substance, successor, submarine, and stuff like that. Well, that one's a bit more, submarine is more palpable or something like that. Latin is bad for that. So is Greek. So is Russian, frankly. All the Slavic languages, from what I can tell, the ones that I've visited on myself, very bad for having these little prepositions chucked in. And there'll be, it just again and again, like, not is a little bit better. Like immaculate basically means not marred or something like that, not marked up or whatever, not without a mark or whatever. But there are ones in Latin that aren't negative, or what did they call it, privative or whatever, like meaning in. No, not insubstantial. Anyway, they've got to be there. I'm just like I woke up just recently, where anyway, it does have that, but it really, the actual stuff is like, it's about 90 pages, so it's less than 100 pages. It's supposed to be really like freeze-dried or something like that, and then you apply water and stir or something like that. There are many entries. How many entries per page? Maybe 5 entries per page. 500 little things. The facts all contribute only to settling the problem, not to its solution. Setting the problem, I should say, not settling. Setting the problem, not to its solution. Only. This is one of the big problems with philosophers and people with a philosophical bent is they all want to put all the facts, all contribute, only. They love these all or nothing kind of locutions. To view the whole world sub specie aeterna is to view it as a whole. It actually is a limited whole. When the answer cannot be put into words, neither can the question be put into words. The riddle does not exist. There's always absolute terms. If a question can be framed at all, it also, well, he actually has possible, does it? Yeah. I maybe if I live long enough, I'll set myself a little task coming up with at least one thing wrong with, like, or silly or whatever. Not so much wrong, but just silly in these little things that are supposed to be taken so seriously. If the truth of a proposition does not follow from the fact that it is self-evident to us, then it's self-evident in no way there, yeah, right, justifies our belief in its truth. Superstition is nothing but belief in the causal nexus. Nothing but. There is no causal nexus to justify such an inference. We cannot infer the events of the future from those of the present. There is no possible way of making an inference from the existence of one situation to the existence of another. Entirely different situation. Yeah. All deductions are made a priori. One elementary proposition cannot be deduced from another. Sorry, I woke up, so I'm not reading that well. Although I'm hoping you're getting across. If the truth of one proposition follows from the truth of others, this finds expression in relations in which the forms of the proposition stand to one another. Nor is it necessary for us to set up those relations between by combining them with one another in a single proposition. On the contrary, the relations are internal, and their existence is an immediate result of the existence of the proposition. When the truth of one proposition follows from the truth of others, he actually says we can see this from the structure of the proposition. It's just bad stuff. He eventually gave up on this, I gather, and it's kind of like an attempt, to clarify thinking. Well,
do you want my avocados? I don't need this one.
Sure. Okay.
Because that's a lot of fat.
Yeah, sure.
I decided to.
Yeah, it'll be great. It'll help me get to the last part of this. Give me a little, I'll be maybe a little less scathing or something.
But I am going to eat all my grapes after all.
Oh, you got to have fun. Pauline's very short of sleep today. And in some ways, she's been almost as distrait as I've been, reading this sort of stuff. So at least I got some sleep just before this. I don't think I had good sleep last night because I've been kind of silly. So I've got more to do here. This is a preview too. This one I haven't read because really with Wittgenstein, that's a review. I've gone through that before. It's probably 30, 40 years ago and stuff like that. Funny thing is, I was kind of hoping it had changed in the interim, but that's just wishful thinking. But I got through about half of this, and I don't know. A Reykjavik murder mystery. It's based on a real murder happened in Iceland a while back, and I don't know. This is maybe a little bit like Margaret Atwood. You got to deal with violence against women, but just use prose. I don't like. How is the poetry going to actually tell you much about what actually happened. You know, we're going around. Yeah. Okay, that's Ballad book. Ballad book. So I think it's Ballad. The Ballad book. I've just started it. So this is definitely a preview. So it has some of the better ballads written by the Germans. So Lillian Krohn. So that's Lily Crown, presumably. And that's Detlef von Lillian Krohn. I think I got his first name right at that point. So he's a famous guy. So famous that I actually know. Okay, Drosta Hilsa. And I think it's a woman, Aneta. And I think again it's von. Drosta Hilsa. So that's considered classic stuff. I don't know if ballads ever. Okay, Fontana. What is his name? Theodor Fontana or Theodor von Fontana. I've heard of him. You see what I'm saying? I'm not a big expert on German poetry, but oh yeah, Schiller. I've kind of forgotten his name, but he's a very famous fella, contemporary Goethe, and I think they kind of hung with each other too. Some of these guys I haven't heard of. Giesebrecht, sorry. Uhland, Ludwig Uhland, famous, at least in the German tradition. Goethe, what was his name? Johann Wolfgang, something or other, Goethe. If I get it wrong, you can always check it up in the wiki or whatever. There's more Fontana. This is just a Volkslied, so that's a folk song. Shiva, never heard of. Strachwitz, that's the second one I've seen there. Hirti, I've heard of him. Forgotten his first name, but I think it's a guy. Chamisso, he's famous. Forgotten his first name, just off the hop. Yeah, this one's interesting. I've run across him before. In the German tradition. Zuc al Maglio. It's Italian, but he's famous enough in the German. Münchhausen, famous guy. Leip, I should say. Never heard of. Volkslied I have, because that's folk song. So it's got lots and lots of John. What is his name? Edward Merica. So I've heard of him because I know his first name. I think I got it right. There's more Uhland. Zurich, never heard of. Anyway, how many pages? I think it's over 500. Not quite. Definitely over 400. Okay, 400 pages. So stay tuned. It's going to take me a while to go through it. Poetry is hard to read in any language. And if it's not your native language, it's not much harder to read. Okay, so I don't think I've reviewed this one. You recall me reviewing that? There we go. The concise dictionary of surnames is how concise it is. So that's not the biggest. It's what, 200 pages? Not even that. So it's less than 180 pages. And these are basically ones to be found in the tradition of Great Britain.
So you found mine in there. Or mine made it.
Yeah, exactly right. Let's just see if it's in here. It'll be in there.
It's in there. My name is very common.
Yeah. Spelled a little bit differently, and it's not in here.
Oh.
Gold. So we'll look up gold, and they might not even have that. Oh, they do. But they do have the version of it.
Oh, they do.
But they don't have a separate entry for it. That's just a safe space, right? Old English, meaning gold, golden hair, right? See, she lives up to it right here.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the name came from my dad, who did not.
Definitely not. Very
that.
White dark hair. Yeah.
But his dad had lighter hair.
Yeah. It's
I guess.
Funny how
These things happen.
Yeah. Anyway, let's see if I can find Bell in here. So, they'll probably have it wrong, right? I'm Scottish, but they do have Scottish names in here. Bell, like Beale, probably from Old French, meaning beautiful, but it could also be an occupational name referring to a bellman or town crier or bell ringer. It could also have been the name given to someone who lived next to a bell tower church noted for its bells, or by an inn called the Bell. Yeah, so what does Campbell mean, as I say to people? It doesn't mean soup. It means crooked mouth. Bell can mean all these things, but coming from the tradition in Great Britain, it would be Scottish more than anything else. So did they screw that up? You can only put so much in there, but I'm not that impressed with it. So they do have some Irish stuff here. I've just turned to M. They basically got M-A-C, right? Mac, Mick, and rarely now M apostrophe. It could be just M-A, like Mapother. That's actually Tom Cruise's, check it out, last name. Cruise, weirdly enough, is his middle name. That's apparently his middle name. But Irish is very Irish, I guess, on his dad's side. And that's just spelled M-A-P-O-T-H-E-R. There's no Mac or Mick, and there's not even an M apostrophe. So they do have stuff here. McCormick. Well, there was a reaper named after someone called McCormick. From Irish and Scots Gaelic meaning son of chariot lad. Okay, so a McCormick reaper or whatever is kind of like a chariot, I guess.
Oh, hello, baby.
What is that, a little one?
It's a sparrow, no.
Well, they do look little by comparison with some of the things we're looking at today. We saw a couple of trumpeter swans out.
Very big.
Yeah, so I don't know where they came from. I hope. You think they're going to produce a brood this late in the year? I don't know. Anyway, McCollum, Scots Gaelic, I know this one. We're son of a worshipper of St. Columba, but I think Columba means Delta or something like that in Latin.
Yeah.
So, how much time? About 9 minutes?
2 minutes and 13
seconds.
seconds.
A lot of time. Oh yeah, we talked about food and we talked about some.
I guess so.
Anyway, this actually is fairly good. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to get some of the real weird names, but there are Stokes. How many people have you run across in an Oz named Stokes? That's rare. I've never run across. Stoddard. There's Reuben Stoddard, who was a big on American Idol or something like that. That's the only person I've run across, and thankfully it wasn't in person. So, Marina and Oswald, I'm going to talk about this one more. Now, I have finished it up. It's not a preview. Huge, big, long book, and it's embarrassing. Like, it's 600 and almost 50 pages. And it's just, I don't know, made up whole cloth. It's got some interesting pictures. There's Lee Harvey Oswald in Russia hanging around with commies, like they're all KGB spies. There's this handsome guy who was his best friend. KGB is all get out. Like anyone, he'd be scared of hanging with. I mean, this is like 59, 60, 61, something like that. He's hanging with people. It shows that the people basically dripping off of him, and it just doesn't make sense that they're regular people. I'd be frightened out of my wits to be hanging with an American. Okay, so song classics of the 60s. I'll be going through this in more detail, but I've gone through it actually more than once. And but I'm going through in like MacArthur Park is Melting the Rain. It's got a lot of music in there. Like it's long, and it's actually much more complicated than your average rock song and stuff like that. This one's quite simple. This one I preferred to MacArthur Park. Crimson and Clover, Tommy James and the Shondells, and it impressed my brother too. He bought a whole album that just had this one single song on it, and the rest of the album was, I don't know, strange. It had weird things by Big Brother and the Holding Company that I never heard anywhere else, and by the Guess Who, Sound of a Dropping Pin, I never heard anywhere else.